Laying of services. We're going to take a look at the laying of services section of our pricing sheet. If we do not need to include the cost for the laying of services, we can close this section by unticking this box here. The section will close. We'll just reopen it. The wastage percentage for this section is here. It's in a yellow box, so we can change it if we want. Water connection. This is the water connection subsection of our laying of services. In here, we allow for the costs associated with the laying of the water connection. First, we enter the total run of the pipe. On our job, it's 22 linear metres. Now, we click this thumbnail picture. In here, we can see how the aggregates around the pipe and the soil that's going to be removed is being calculated. It is important to check these measurements. So here we can see the length that will be allowed at each side of the pipe, and the diameter of the pipe, or if we're using it, pipe ducting. These three measurements make up the width of the trench that we can see here. The depth of the aggregates, above and below the pipe, is here. It's also in yellow boxes, so we can adjust them if necessary. The actual depth of the rest of the trench and volume of soils to be backfilled isn't shown. We will be using our judgment for this when entering the excavator, and because the soils that are not being replaced by aggregates will be backfilled, we don't need to allow for their disposal off-site. Therefore, the volume of them doesn't need to be calculated. OK, we're going to be using a pipe and no ducting. The pipe that we're going to use will be 20 mil. The measurements for the aggregates are correct, so we'll now close this picture. Let's take a look at what's been worked out. There are some blue boxes that will need our judgment. The first item is the excavator. We'll need this for 1 day to dig out the trench. We'll also need a dumper for a day too. The soils to be removed, the ones that the aggregates will be replacing, are here. We can adjust the method of waste disposal if necessary. We will change this to a 2-yard skip. Pipe ducting is worked out. We aren't using this. If we were, we would have needed to adjust the diameter of the pipe in the picture to 60 mil to allow for it. We can switch this off by clicking here. All of the costs are removed. Here's our pipe. We are using a 20 mil pipe, so we will just adjust this. We do want to allow for one double non-return valve. The aggregates for around the pipe are here. We can change the material in the drop-down menu. The quantity required has been calculated based on the information that we entered in the picture. So if we want to change the amount, we can go back to the picture and change the dimensions around the pipe. Everything for our water connection is now calculated. Foul drainage connection. The foul drainage connection subsection works in exactly the same way as the water connection subsection that we've just looked at. We enter in the length of the pipe run here in the red box at the top. For our job, this is 22 linear metres. Now we click the thumbnail picture. We check the details for the aggregates going around the pipe, as well as the diameter of the actual pipe. These measurements are in yellow boxes, so we can adjust them if we want. Just to show you, the width of the trench is calculated by adding together the diameter of the pipe and the dimensions to each side of the pipe. So if we increase the dimension at each side to, say, 120 mil, see? The width of the trench increases. We'll just change this back. Let's close the picture. Now we just enter the number of days that will be required to excavate and backfill this trench. This is going to be 1 day. We'll need a dumper for a day too. We can see the quantity of soil that's going to be removed from the site due to the aggregates filling that area of the trench. We can select the method of waste disposal. Let's click the picture. We'll choose a 6-yard skip. The pipe is calculated for us here. The collars for the pipe are worked out too. Here are the aggregates for around our pipe. We did view how these were being calculated earlier, but if we click the red question mark here, we can again view the details and if necessary change them. Phone and electric connection. To allow for the phone and electrical cable, again we enter the length of the pipe run in here. This is also going to be 22 linear metres. We click the picture, checking the dimensions for the sand around the cables. The ducting for the pipe has a 37 mil diameter, so we will enter this in. We'll also reduce the amount of aggregates at either side of the pipe to 131.5 mil to keep the width of the trench correct. We'll enter those in. OK, as we already have a total of 2 days allowed for both the excavator and dumper in the water and foul drainage connection subsections, we won't add in any further days in this section. If we did need to allow for them, then we just enter the number of days into these blue boxes. The quantity of soil that we need to remove due to aggregates taking its place is here. We can check and adjust the method of waste disposal. The electrical duct is here. The diameter of this is 37 mil, and we did allow for this in the top picture. Electrical warning tape is also automatically worked out, and here are the aggregates for around the pipe. The blue text here explains that the actual cable for the phone and electrical connection is not included here, as this is normally provided by the supplier and included with the connection fee. We did enter this fee in the services section of the pricing sheet. If for any reason we do need to include the cost of these cables in this section, we can add an extra row at the bottom. Gas connection. We don't need to allow for a gas connection on our job, but to see how it works, we'll enter in some numbers, then take them out before we leave this section. It's exactly the same as previous sections we've seen. So we enter in the pipe run, we'll put in 22 linear metres, click the picture, check the measurements for the aggregates around the pipe and the pipe diameter. Now enter the number of days, if any, that an excavator and dumper will be needed. We'll put in 1 day for each. Check the method of waste disposal. The gas pipe and gas warning tape are worked out for us. And here are the aggregates for around the pipe. It really is that simple. We'll just remove these numbers as we won't be allowing for a gas connection. Extra row and totals. As we've seen, all of the standard and not so standard items and tasks that may be required for the laying of our services are included in this section. But if we need to add an additional item or task, then we can do so. We just click the Add Extra Row button here and follow the instructions. The totals are here, so we can see a breakdown for the plant, materials, hours, labour, and overall total.